All right, how's everyone doing? Hope you enjoyed the holidays, had a happy and safe new year. A few changes to the van. You can see I've given up some roof real estate there. Got a Cyber Monday deal on some solar panels. Not getting a lot from it these days. She's pretty overcast. We did end up getting a little bit of snow here in Canada, but the most I've seen from them so far is about 120 watts. All right, so I just want to bring everyone up to speed of where the van's currently sitting. If you're new here, this is my 2005 Chevrolet Astro, all-wheel drive, self-converted to 4x4 with a camper build-out in the back, which has been full-time for the last few months. And I've really decided what I like and what I don't like. So in this video, I'm going to go over those things that have worked, things that haven't worked. I've given up a substantial amount of roof space to the solar. The 200-watt Renogy Wanderer kit, I did see about 120 watts when I had them just temporarily hooked up and leaned against the van, pointed at the sun. The spray paint body work that I did in the summer has been holding up. It's not that good of a match, and it looks funky in some different lights. But I ended up running out of paint on the other side, and I decided it wasn't good enough of a match to go and get more. The ultimate plan is to go with like a Raptor liner, bed liner coating type situation, whether I get someone to do it or do it myself. It's available in different colors. Not sure if I would change the color of the van at that time. They do carry it in like a navy blue, which would be nice because then I wouldn't have to paint the jambs, like the door jambs in here. I could just leave those, coat the outside. So into the bread and butter of it here. Been cleaning up the electrical system. I put a piece of that faux wood MDF board that I used everywhere else in the van over top of the plywood that I just had everything mounted to. I just cleaned up the layout a little bit. Kind of reminds me of the car audio days. Everyone lay out their systems, make them look pristine. It's never going to be easier than it is right now to show you the electrical system, so I think I'll just go component by component and let you know the scoop on each. So for DC to DC charging off the van battery to charge the house battery that's normally there, I've got the Victron Orion TR Smart 12-12-30, which is a 12-volt battery, charging a 12-volt battery for a max of 30 amps. I've got the max, or the ranges for input and output voltage there. It's been working great. I was a little bit skeptical of buying something that runs off an app because I wanted to keep everything, you know, in the event of an issue or whatever, or you lose your phone, I wanted it all to be absent of the, I didn't like the idea of Bluetooth really is what I'm trying to get at, but it's been great. Now between this and the BMV 712, I can actually get an idea of what my system's doing. Before I was just making an educated guess and using simple math, essentially just watching the voltage and then watching how the battery would recover when I would take all the loads off, which I do not recommend. That's a good way to kill your lithium battery, which is unfortunate that you have to spend almost as much as the battery costs to monitor it, but I just don't trust those little $60 monitors. I like to save money, but if you're going to get bad readings and not be able to go off it, what's the point? So back to the Orion here. The back of it is basically a large heat sink. I had this mounted directly to the plywood for about 1.5 years, well, maybe even 2 years by now, and there was no issues. But when I redid the system here, I spaced it out with some nuts just to give it a little bit more airflow. You can see there. I've had no issues. You can see that's where the wire runs in behind here. So the wiring is fairly simple, just 3 terminals. You've got your positive in, your ground, and then your positive out. You can see my positive out runs along the back here just to keep things clean over to a 60 amp fuse, and then from there to my bus bar. These wires that come through here are currently in the van. You can see the ground on the right there, the power wire on the left. I'll show those in more detail in a little bit. But to wrap it up, the Orion has been amazing. No issues at all. It just puts out 25 amps every time the van's running, going into my house batteries. This is a cheap CO2 monitor. I don't recommend it because it doesn't have a digital readout. So the threshold for this to go off is fairly high. I've only had it go off once, and that was actually from ATV exhaust and not the diesel heater or anything like that. So I'm going to keep this as a secondary CO detector and run a digital one up where I can see it. So beside the Orion, we've got the charge controller for the solar. I can't make any comments on this. I've only hooked it up for testing purposes. I've seen about 120 watts on an overcast day with the panels just leaned against the van, pointed at the sun. The wiring for that has been run already through the roof, through the gland, and it's just coiled up there. I still need to fully install that. I'll run those wires in behind here and then have them come out of a hole just in this area here, just to keep things clean. All right, and then on the left side of the board here is our bus bars and power distribution. We've got the main positive coming off the battery. This wire is over here, just on the ground here. I'll show you how that all fits in a second here once I get the board back in. And we go off the positive of the battery into a 250 amp fuse, which feeds this cutoff switch here, which comes up to the bus bar, which feeds the fuse panel. That's the ground for the fuse panel. And then this is the feed for the inverter on a 250 amp fuse. This board here is normally mounted in this area here. I'll show you the wiring that is normally hidden by that. So we've got the main positive that comes from the van battery. It comes through the firewall, through the wheel well there, under this piece of trim, around, and then it pokes out, obviously, through the hole that I've got drilled here and up into the terminal. This is the ground, which is bolted to the body here. You can see the spot where I cleaned up the metal. So then most of the wiring that you see zip tied there is all excess from the diesel heater. This is the controller wiring, which is now looped through my main wiring run over to the controller here. This blue wire is an old extension cord that I use for shore charging. That just runs along with the DC to DC charger wiring up to the front there, and a plug under the hood that I can plug into. This is the fan wiring, positive and negative. This is the diesel heater wiring, positive and negative. Negative for the inverter, positive and negative for the switch panel. That's feed for this panel here. And then it has its own fuses and outputs. There's a few switches that I still haven't used there. This is the remote switch for the inverter, for the new inverter. That's why it doesn't quite fit in my cutout here. I'm going to get a little piece of something and make a template or a back plate to cover that hole. And moving along to the left here, I've got the inverter mounted up. I can't speak on this inverter, this brand, but it's been working perfectly. The inverter seen in my previous videos, although it was very pretty and a lot larger, it would only run certain loads. I have no idea what was wrong with it, if the sine wave just wasn't clean enough for certain appliances, but the induction didn't like it. This inverter here, there's a lot of videos on it. This CNSWI Power, sorry it's upside down brand, but it's been working out great for me. There's a lot of videos on this. Don't take my word for it. I haven't put it through its paces in my opinion yet. Runs the induction, runs everything I've tried, everything I've thrown at it. So like I say, do your own research. It's a 2000 watt pure sine inverter. Has its own display here, which is behind my seat. I can't see it, but something to keep in mind. This was an afterthought. Like I say, a replacement, so that's why it's upside down and doesn't seem to fit with the rest of the build. But we'll just mention quickly the diesel heater, no issues after 3 years with this unit. It is the 3-blade controller, if you're familiar. The one that can't have the settings messed with, like the hertz, like the duty cycle of the pump changed and whatnot. I've had no issues. I've probably put about 10 tanks of fuel through the new location for the fuel tank here this winter, and it's been working perfectly. It seems to use about 3 liters of fuel per 12-hour period. So say if I put it on at 8 p.m. and then run it to 8 in the morning, which will get me about 3 and a bit days. And then this location here is where the battery normally sits. These pieces of wood are mounted in here just to keep it up off the ground, off the cold floor. So most of my wiring for the stuff on the other side of the van and the cabinet runs up through here, this bundle of wire, and then along the headliner, up through here, over to this side, and then you can see it all kind of running behind there. I put a little piece of metal strapping just to kind of route it all around my water system, which I'll just show you quickly. I don't think I've shown that actually fully set up. Just a USB tap, the common USB tap that's available on Amazon, into a 4-liter jug for gray water. I didn't put a P-trap because I didn't want to give up the space, and I don't get any smells or have any issues with it how it sits. This is just temporary. I just made this shelf out of scrap wood so I didn't have to extend the feed line for the tap or have to extend my drain. Give you a shot from the front there of that. It's kind of dark, but you get the idea. Oh, sorry. Way too much zoom. That's how that's set up. Works out well. I try and keep a second 4-liter, so then I have 8 liters of fresh and then 4 liters for the gray water, but I never let it get that full. I drive around like this. I should definitely have this bungeed in, and this one I'm going to build up little walls along the edge here to kind of keep it in place. But, you know, everything's always a work in progress. It's hard to say anything's done, but you get the idea. Oh, door's a little sticky. Something's in the way. But the cabinet is pretty well done, I would say. Another thing to mention, shoehorn. Definitely a good thing to have in a van. A lot easier on the old body putting the shoes on. Upgraded to a smaller, more modern TV. Found it thrifting there for a good price. Exactly what I had before, but it's feather light. There's literally nothing to this. It feels like a McDonald's kid's toy. It's the Best Buy brand there. Signia or whatever. I just gave my other TV away. This one's a 22-inch. My old one was a 24, but it was a more heavy-duty Toshiba TV that's built a little more solid than these ones are. But this one fits the counter a little bit nicer. Doesn't cover my tap as much. TV's definitely not a necessity in a van, but there is a reason they put them in RVs. It's nice for when the bugs are bad or you've got inclement weather. And this is the negative battery shunt. This is the cable that comes from the negative battery terminal off the house battery. And then this one goes to the negative bus bar on the electrical wall. Another thing I would like to do is put the Max Air fan, which has been working beautifully, on a switch and a relay so that I can have a master switch for it. Because what I've read is the boards in those fans don't like to have a high voltage supplied to them constantly, like a lithium battery does above 13 volts. So some people put resistors in it to bring the voltage down, but I want to put a relay on it just so that I can hit a switch, then turn on the fan. And then that's just less wear and tear on the board. And I could just pull the fuse for it, but I'd like to have it on a switch. It's probably worth mentioning that the floor has been holding up awesome. It's really dirty right now. That's one of the things I'm going to do. There's a few gaps that have kind of shown up. Not the end of the world. I did have to screw through it. The instructions say not to, but I don't see how else you're going to mount trim like that and whatnot. So it did get screwed through here at the back and then at the front edge here. And then I just siliconed along the back here, hoping that at least leaving that open would leave room for expansion. But of course, it expanded that way, which makes sense because it's fastened to both ends. But yeah, not a big deal. Solid, it's rock solid. When you're shuffling around in a van for any length of time, you'll appreciate a nice hard floor. It gives you a solid base to mount everything off of. I definitely don't regret that. Should also mention the electrical wall. Like you can see here, makes it super easy to work on things. I can get this in and out in no time at all. Need a 14, a 17, and a Phillips head screwdriver. It's the only tools really. And a 7/16 for the nutserts. That's how it mounts in here, just at 3 points. I installed these nutserts. And this one here, same deal, except for one of the seatbelt bolts that I used. So that's good and solid. Like that's part of the van now. Same with this counter. There's nothing that really can come loose. It's mounted at the top on that 2x4 with 2 sheet metal screws and then about 10 pocket holes along the bottom here. Oh, I don't foresee anything really coming loose. It is completely part of the van as it sits. All right, that's about it for now. I'll give you guys an update once I get more of the board in here and you can get an idea what things are going to look like. All right, I got carried away here. Everything's hooked back up. And I know you can't see anything. I'll show you tomorrow in the daylight. I'll pull the couch back out and show you that. I'm just going to play a little GTA here, end off the night. Try some of that new drift racing. I'll show you real quick to end the video. I know no one watches to the end, but I've never shown what the bed looks like when it goes completely down. So, let's see if I can back up far enough that you can see. Takes up a pretty substantial amount of the van. Hopefully you can see all that. It's butted right up against the counter. And then it pretty well goes right to the battery and everything else. Maybe I'll redo that in the daylight tomorrow too. Set up the tripod so you can actually see what's going on. That's it for now. Tune in next time. Apologize for the shoddy footage.